Hey guys, and welcome back to Conspiracy Theories. Today I have with me Christina.
Hey guys.
Today we're going to be talking about the Malaysian Airlines number 370 and what happened in the disappearance.
Very exciting.
All right, so I guess we should start off with a little bit of some history on it.
Yeah, some background on the flight. So basically, the flight was leaving out of Kuala Lumpur International Airport and was going to land in the Beijing National Airport, and it was leaving at 12:40 a.m. and it was due to land at 5:40 or 6:40 a.m. in Beijing.
Yeah.
Which it did not.
No, it didn't.
So
that's the whole thing with the disappearance
Yeah.
of it. There were 227 passengers on the plane and 12 crew members.
239 passengers. Yeah, 12 crew members. And
so
the majority of them were from China.
Mm-hmm.
They were Chinese passengers, and
a couple from Malaysia,
some from Australia.
There's all over. But what happened was they disappeared without any trace. And really, it's what happened and why can't we find them?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of conspiracy theories on why the plane just completely vanished in the air.
Yeah.
But the way that happened was basically it was flying to Beijing and just completely made a U-turn. And
basically it made a U-turn in the sky.
A complete U-turn in the sky.
Yeah.
And just went off the grid. We lost all communication. Communication from them. And
which this happened in 2014.
Yes.
Just a couple of years ago. 5 years ago on March 8th. Correct? Yes. March 8th. And this happened overnight. And basically, how could a plane be flying from point A to point B and take a U-turn and get lost, completely disappear, communication cut off?
The plane also only has about 7.5 hours worth of fuel in it. So the flight is supposed to be around 5 hours and 30 minutes ish. That's how long it would have taken to get to Beijing. So it only had about 2 hours left in the fuel
for the fuel, the extra
they could have taken.
Yeah. So where did it land? Also, this happened in the first 40 minutes of the plane taking off.
Yeah.
That's the interesting thing. And it landed that people are saying it landed in the Indian Ocean somewhere. They don't know where.
They did a bunch of searching. It was also the most expensive and just the most expensive and biggest search that they had ever done
for
an airline. Yeah. And they looked in the Indian Ocean and did not find anything.
It's the greatest aviation mystery, basically.
Yes.
Over $160 million was poured into this.
That's crazy.
By the Australian government because they wanted to find out what happened. It's honestly just a mystery. And so after 3 years, the Australian government did stop. And then a company in America called Ocean Infinity picked back up and they wanted to start looking again. But after 6 months,
they found nothing.
No, after 6 months, they found nothing. And
before that, though, when they did do the searches, they found a few pieces of debris. What's around an island called
the Pemba Island. So yeah, there was a couple. So there were 3 known and confirmed debris found from the plane. There was the wing flap, the wing fragment, and the flaperon parts of the plane that
just random parts that they found.
Those are said to be confirmed, but they were found in the Indian Ocean off of some islands.
Reunion Island was the first island
Reunion
that they
Island.
found something
Yeah,
from.
that was in 2015.
Yeah.
So a year after. And then the other 2 were found in 2016. And then there were 4 other pieces found, but they're not confirmed to have been from that airline.
Yeah.
So they do not know. It's highly likely. But were they placed there? Were they planted by the government? That's the question.
That's the conspiracy. You know?
There's one of them.
Also, the government had not said anything to like the families of the people who like were on the plane. There was literally nothing that anybody had said or any like hope given basically to any
there
families.
Was no hope given.
Nobody,
which
they did not say anything about the flight. Basically, it was just searches were going out and nothing was found. So okay, like sucks, you know, that kind of thing is basically how the families felt.
And that's why I think the Australian government, they really went hard for this, and they searched for 3 years and could not find anything except for some debris that isn't actually, yes, it's confirmed, but is it really?
Yeah. I mean, it's the government that confirmed it.
Yeah.
It could be them who placed it there.
Exactly. So there's a couple of theories. The one that most people are familiar with is called ghost plane. What it is said is that it was a sudden cabin depressurization, which basically is when the cabin is
oxygen levels
basically
levels just drop completely.
And it's a slow death. It's a very slow and peaceful death, but it happens pretty rapidly, like 15 minutes.
Yeah, and they did have some like kind of evidence on that as well. Like they looked at the plane's like oxygen levels, and one time it did hit like super high up, which is like not normal for us to be like breathing in and that kind of stuff. So that, you know, we have some evidence on this case, but we also have evidence on many other conspiracy theories too.
And so people who say that this is true say that this happened and the pilot was actually closed off. So if he were to have the oxygen levels drop, it would have been a lot slower than everybody else on board, because he was kind of closed off in the cockpit. So he became delirious and almost just literally made a U-turn and flew in a different direction. So that's what people are saying. That's why the plane went in another direction. But if this were to happen, why did communications get cut off? There's no reason for that to have happened. Yeah. Just because the oxygen levels dropped.
The transponders were completely turned off within 40 minutes of the plane taking off. So why would he turn those off? Because the transponders, you can turn those off in the plane. The pilot can turn those off.
So why would he have turned them off?
Why would he have done that if these oxygen levels were, even if he was
delusional? I mean, that could be a reason.
I've also heard with this conspiracy theory is that he, the pilot Shaw, knew that it was kind of a sabotage kind of thing. So the passengers, the levels dropped in there, but his didn't. So he was still completely there and that kind of thing.
So completely opposite of this theory.
Basically, well, it's the same but different. Yeah.
So why would he be doing that?
That's why I don't know.
Okay.
But the plane did fly over his hometown. People say that he was saying goodbye, basically, or just trying to look at his hometown once for the last time.
So it was kind of a suicide mission?
Kind of, yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. That's very interesting, because why would he want to basically kill all those people on board?
Yeah, that's another thing that I looked into, was that people say that his marriage was falling apart and that kind of thing. His wife and daughter said that he was acting different before this flight, which I mean can't be really confirmed because we don't know how he was acting, but they did say that. And people don't want to blame it on him because
they don't know. No one knows.
Yeah.
That's one point though. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so there's a bunch of other theories. Another one, which I think is interesting, is the remote cyber hijacking. So basically, it's as it says, someone off the plane, some other area, hijacked into the plane system and basically reprogrammed and had them flown to another location. So planes after 9/11, it was very detrimental, and basically planes were like reprogrammed to be autopiloted, like auto flown. So pilots wouldn't have. So like if somebody were to come on, it's set in one direction.
Okay. Yeah. So like if somebody were to do something to the pilot, that the plane would continue to fly too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which is kind of confusing
smart.
though in the first theory where like I don't know.
He turned everything off and then he flew
okay.
Yeah, which maybe.
Yeah.
Which is what he did, turn everything off
sense.
and did go into a different direction, but why would he have done that?
Why? Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's the question. Okay.
So people say that it was hijacked and then flown to another location. But if it was flown to another location and reprogrammed, why have we not found it?
Yeah.
So
they're saying it's like somebody off the plane, like on land, hijacked it and then was flying it to somewhere else. So it would have landed somewhere else. Mm-hmm. But
we found this debris from the government, though. That's the interesting thing. Or
just from the plane.
Maybe. So that's one theory. I don't know if I'm 100% sure on it because hijacking an entire plane,
it's kind of difficult.
That's a little difficult, I'd have to say, for a lot of people, especially because of the technology. It was only a couple of years ago. Our technology was still very top notch. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about hijacking an entire Boeing plane. How capable that is, I have not tried. I will not be trying. So,
yeah, just letting the government know.
Not trying to do that. But yeah, cyber hijacking. Not so sure if that is what it is, but it's one theory. It is.
You can believe it if you want.
There's another that this is actually not a conspiracy theory. It's more science proven about cracks being in the plane.
Oh, yeah.
So Boeing, obviously, as we know, in the recent past year or two, Boeing has not been doing the greatest.
They've had some minor,
Yeah, a lot of problems with their flights. Not crashing almost, but
just problems.
A lot of problems. Yeah. Boeing hasn't been doing the hottest. And they also have been known to have not been doing the hottest years ago in 2014 as well because cracks were found. The people who inspect the planes.
There's like dogs that search and stuff, and the dogs found cracks in the planes, the 370s, and no, it's a 777. I think is the
777.
Yeah, the Boeing 777. Sorry.
Yeah. So just like a couple of days before the plane took off, there was in one of the Boeing planes in that exact area, there was a 15-inch crack found in one of the parts of the plane. And I just think, why
would you fly a plane if
why would you be flying these
crack
planes
in it?
So I don't think they're taking enough time to inspect them. And maybe it all has to just do with the fact that there was a malfunction completely in the entire plane. I'm not sure.
They blew that off by saying like, some of the 777, the Boeing 777s have had these cracks and they found them in that. But this plane, the one that flew, the Flight 370, it was something about it was different than the other planes. So like this one shouldn't have cracks and this kind of thing. Like they were kind of just blowing it off basically. So it could be
They're
just
trying
like
to cover themselves.
Yeah, it could be them covering it, them just being careless, like, which you should not be careless if we're going in a huge thing up in the sky. Like,
no, they shouldn't.
Yeah. But
I don't know. That's more based by science, and usually I don't believe those ones. So
the science,
nah. But I think one of my favorite theories that I believe most to be true is the fact that there is another Bermuda Triangle out there. If you listened to my last podcast last week, I talked about the Bermuda Triangle with my friend Carly.
Triangle.
Yes. And I believe that the Bermuda Triangle is true, that there have been disappearances because of it. And there has been known to be an Asian Bermuda Triangle on the other side of the globe.
So like the complete opposite of the
complete opposite.
That does make sense. So, it could be like a black hole kind of going through the earth, like
exactly.
You know,
straight through,
which does like give us kind of an explanation for why the plane just completely went off the grid. And
exactly. So the Bermuda Triangle is on the opposite side of the globe of where the Malaysian airline is said to have reported disappeared. If there is another Bermuda Triangle out there, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The Bermuda Triangle is swallowing up. Now, I don't know what the Bermuda Triangle is doing with these planes. Why?
It's just hungry.
It must be hungry.
It's hungry. It wants to have some lunch, Planes.
Probably. Just need that jet fuel. So maybe it is another Bermuda Triangle on the other side of the world. I don't know. I think that one is the most plausible out of all of them.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a couple of
I have been.
I know you may not.
I've cruised across the Bermuda Triangle and I'm still here, but it makes sense. The Malaysian Bermuda Triangle. It's different.
It is. It just hits different.
It's different.
There's a couple more that I think is actually really interesting. So there was one that you had, right? Another theory that you were looking up.
The one about the captain.
About the captain, right?
So there's a theory that I saw that was basically Shaw, the captain of the plane, deliberately carried this out. Like it was basically, we kind of talked about it like a suicide.
Yeah.
Kind of. So Shaw he had been flying since 1981. Like he was a veteran flyer. Like,
okay.
He had over 18,000 hours of flying under his belt, which is crazy. He loved his job. Like he had an in-flight simulator at his house just to do that kind of stuff. But using that in-flight simulator, they saw that a month before this flight took off, he had simulated kind of the same flight route, basically starting to go to Beijing and then turning a complete U-turn and going the complete opposite way. So that's it's the same route that the plane took.
I can't think that's a coincidence.
No.
It can't be.
It can't. And then he actually did that twice. And then the second one, or he did that kind of route twice. And then he also performed another route, which basically simulated the flight flying into the Personas Towers, which are two big towers in Kuala Lumpur. Basically crashing into them.
That's
so
horrible.
Yeah, that's
kind
a
huge red flag right there.
Yeah. Basically, they said that, well, they don't want to say that's true because of his family and that kind of stuff. Just kind of they don't want to.
And it did not happen, thankfully.
Yeah, that didn't happen. But the route happened, which is very
that's suspicious.
It's not. Yeah, it's very suspicious. So it's just kind of a thing where he did do this before the actual flight took off. People say he wouldn't do that. He loved his job. Obviously, yeah, he did love his job, but
he flew so much. Yeah.
Yeah, he had been flying for so long. He flew so many times, this kind of stuff. So that's kind of the thing that people go back on is why would he do it? Why?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest question of this whole entire thing is why. But
yeah,
he did do the same route in his in-flight simulator at home. So
the more I hear about these conspiracies, the more they just sound so interesting because there's so many different ones out there.
There's so many.
Yeah.
Everybody just comes up with another one. I know. But
another one would be the North Korea took down the MH370. And this is interesting because 3 days before the Malaysian airline went missing, the North Korea nearly took out a Chinese commercial airplane that was passing through the trajectory of a North Korean missile minutes before it would happen. North Korea almost took down a Chinese plane just days before the Malaysian airline went missing.
Because they thought it was a threat?
They thought it was. So the Chinese plane went through like the North Korean missile, where they would shoot off in practice. Okay. And it was so close that it was like in the trajectory of it minutes before. If they were 11 minutes earlier, they would have been hit, basically.
Okay.
So I don't know if North Korea took that as kind of a threat and was like, why are they coming so close?
Mm-hmm.
But that happened just 3 days before.
It's not just like practice where they're just shooting off missiles for practice. It's like they thought that, or they're taking it as like this plane is flying over our territory, basically.
Yeah, they're taking
and they're trying to shoot it down.
Yeah. And then why wouldn't they have gone back and tried to attack the next plane that went by? So Malaysian Airlines, they went off course.
Yeah.
And
that's not where they were supposed to go.
It's not where they were supposed to go. So maybe North Korea took it as another threat, or they just basically hijacked them and diverted them into North Korea, because we wouldn't know if they went to North Korea because we have not had much contact to go into there.
All we know is they made a U-turn.
Yeah. And if North Korea did take it, they could have held that plane hostage. Well, not even just hostage, but basically made it disappear like it did.
Mm-hmm. Like completely taking apart the plane and
figured out a way to So that's one theory that I think is very interesting, because we haven't been able to figure it out, but we could, because if another government did take it, I think that's worth looking into. Yeah, and that's over 200 some lives that are supposedly lost, and
maybe they're still alive.
But maybe they're still alive.
Who knows? Yeah.
These innocent families,
I know the families continuously hope that they are hostage.
They want answers, and they're not getting any.
Yeah,
that's the sad thing. I have two more conspiracies. One being alien abduction. I think alien abduction always comes up. Oh, there's Maeve outside. I think alien abduction always comes up when we're doing conspiracy theories, because
when there's something missing.
When something's disappeared. Yeah. Because we can't explain where it is on Earth. So where is it? Where else would it be? Maybe the aliens took it. And I think it always is a case with alien abduction, because we can't find it here at all. So where is it?
Yeah, it would have to be on a completely different planet that's out of our orbit, though.
Exactly.
Because we could possibly find it if it's in our orbit, but if we haven't found aliens that are in plane or on planets in our orbit, so
I don't know. The aliens are way more advanced technology-wise, I feel like, than us. So they have their ways. Also, there were reports of UFO sightings just days before.
So basically,
this is probably the aliens.
It's definitely the aliens. They took the plane.
They took it. And then my last one would be the CIA is basically, they made it disappear. They're the ones that have been keeping it all under wraps, and they're not telling anybody where it is. So there's not much to the CIA being the ones who took down the plane, but the former prime minister of Malaysia, last name Mohammed, said that he believes that the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency must know something about the plane's fate. He also claims that the plane maker, and certain unnamed government agencies are able to take control of commercial airlines such as the missing Boeing 777 remotely if necessary. He's saying that planes just don't disappear. So he thinks that Boeing and the CIA worked kind of together to hide the plane.
For what reason?
He doesn't even have a reason.
Why would they take a plane with like there weren't any suspicious. There were a few suspicious passengers, but just
from looking at it afterwards.
Yeah,
but they're not
just suspicious for the fact that the plane went missing, not like for any reason that the CIA would be looking for them. That's what I
think is interesting, because I don't know how he could base off what he bases off of this. That Boeing and the CIA would be kind of working together.
Yeah,
but that's interesting. I don't believe that theory. I think for me, the theories that make the most sense would be the Bermuda Triangle.
Of course.
And maybe North Korea, and the fact that maybe the ghost plane, and I don't know why we can't find it though. That's the only thing. If the cabin was to be depressurized and it has gone down, why can't we find it? That's the main question. They spent 3 years looking. Where is it? So I just feel like it has to be something else.
Yeah, I think what I'm leaning towards is basically the like suicide kind of thing, just because like the fact that his family said that he was acting weird before this.
And the simulations.
Those
are interesting.
The co-pilot, his last name is Ahmad. He had not had that much experience under his belt. He had also been in trouble before with the Malaysian Airlines by taking passengers from other flights like into the cockpit and smoking with the pilot like in the cockpit.
Interesting.
So he'd been in trouble for that kind of thing.
I'm surprised he wasn't
like completely. Yeah. So it could be like a dual effort. I don't understand why the actual captain Shad would do that, because he had been flying for so long and this was his passion. That's what his family says. But the simulations and that kind of stuff, and the fact that he flew over his hometown kind of as like a last goodbye, who knows? But
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So these theories, they're pretty good, but the fact is we still haven't found the plane.
We haven't, and it disappeared in 2014, and it's almost 2020.
And I think people basically have given up.
They have. They gave up like what? They gave up
the big corporations
2017.
We should say basically. The big corporations and the government has given up. But I know the families who have lost members of their family from this, they're not forgetting about this, and they want answers. They want to know where their loved ones are.
Yeah, of course. They want to know, have they passed away? Like, or are they held hostage? Like, that's what everybody is still just praying, that they're held hostage. They just want to have their family members be alive somewhere, just so that like maybe hope. Later on, they can find them, which obviously being hostage is not fun, but it's better than being dead.
Yeah. So this was very fun. This is a good conspiracy.
Thanks
for coming on the show.
Of course. I love being here.
Yeah. So like always, if you have any questions or conspiracy theories that you want to hear next, put them in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you, guys.
And I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.